As you know, Faction Loaders are coming back, and I haven't done a setup guide in a while, so I thought I would do an updated one. So this is going to go through every map that's going to be in the competitive map pool when the new patch comes out. So we're going to go in alphabetical order, so we're going to start with the Abyss. Starting on A-site, the main setup I usually do really depends on how the enemies are playing. If they have a really fast like rush comp, I like to place one sensor on the box here, and then I also like to play one sensor here. This way, I can stand backside here. And if there is a guy who's gonna, for example, either go towards this, like route towards this side very fast, or either route towards this side very fast, what's gonna happen is he's gonna get stunned from here, or he's gonna get stunned from here. And then I can sit backside like the rat I am. I mean, I'm not technically a rat. Cyphermains are probably more ratty. But swing off the guy here who's gonna get stunned, or swing off the guy here who's gonna get stunned. Very nice. One thing that's important is if you don't have a smoker, this trip here can be a little bit risky because if this isn't smoked out, you're going to peek into like 15 different enemies. So if for some reason you're playing comp and you don't have a smoker, I hope that doesn't happen, by the way, then you can also place a sensor here, which basically will allow you to peek a little bit safer and like isolate a 1v1. As for the wall, there's no like cheeky wall you can do. I mean, you can kind of like, if you want to block off this area and route them here, you can do that. But honestly, I just prefer placing it here so that when they start pushing, they're going to have to walk up here and then break it, which also leaves them a little bit vulnerable, right? Because yes, they can break this, but then they can only path this way, etc. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much how I play A-site. And then also one thing that you'll notice is gravnet lineups and stuff for defense. Don't need it. If you hear them push out, this is one thing you got to learn as a Deadlock main. If you hear them push out, you want to like throw your gravnet. As they're pushing out, they're going to be stuck in like the most awkward place in the world, right? So if for example, like they're starting to push out here and you throw it and they get stuck here, that's not really a problem for them, right? Because they're not in the open. So you want to try to throw it just as they're about to push. So like it lands here. That way they can get peeked from here, from heaven, from over here as well. So that is basically how you want to use the granite on the fence. I see a lot of people throw it way too early. It's kind of hard for me to tell you guys when to throw it. That's something you feel based off timing the more you play Deadlock. So you just got to keep going and eventually you'll feel it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Moving over to B-site. B-site is probably my favorite side to play as Deadlock on Abyss. Just because you have a lot of cheeky shit you can do. So as you know, the barrier starts here, right? This is where the barrier is. It goes here. Right as the barrier drops, if you want to play really aggressive, you can place one trip here. And then you can peek off them pushing because they will not expect this one, right? Because they'll make a lot of noise pushing up here. And you can swing off it. You can stand over here and then swing off them being stunned, right? You can also place a sensor here right as the barrier drops. This is really good as well. You just got to make sure that if you hear them stunned and you want to peek it, there could always be another person here, right? Which could trade you. So you got to be careful for that. My overall favorite setup I like to do on B-side is this. So I place one sensor a little bit more shallow on the side, like this. And then I also place one angled a little bit towards here. So anybody that jumps up here will get stunned, right? And then I just sit backside like the rat I am and swing off, right? One thing you got to be careful of if you're gonna play backside, if they have like a gecko or like a breach or something, this could be stunned, right? Or aftershocked or mollied. Just be careful for that. The main point I want to like take away from this video is that there is no ultimate setup for any fucking character in Valorant. Everything is based off how they're playing. If they have like a fucking Sova and shit who can, sorry for the swearing, if they have a Sova who can just destroy your util if you place it the same place, then what's the point of having a setup if it's not going to work, right? You need to always adapt to how they're playing. So that's just something that comes with time, though. If you play the character a lot, you're going to realize that like there is no certain thing that works. Everything changes. So based off that, if they have like a really fast rush comp, maybe you want to place your sensors a little bit shallower because then they'll finish their dash and they're going to like walk straight into stride trying to clear you and then it goes send. Stuff like that. That's the main takeaway from this video. Don't listen to the people who go like,
this is the ultimate setup for Deadlock. So basically, you want to do this thing only, and then you're gonna get free kills.
It works sometimes, but it's never the definitive answer, okay? This pisses me off a lot. So change your setups. Be unpredictable, okay? This is taken from Master Uguay of Deadlock, hopefully. I don't know. That's probably very cringe. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, let's go to the next map. All right, moving over to Bind. This is probably Deadlock's best map, in my opinion, because like you can cheese like 1 million people here very easily, which is very fun. So yeah, we're gonna start on A-site. For A-site, the thing I usually do is one, this is like guaranteed kills. Use this sensor here that's unbreakable. This has given me like 1 million kills. It's very fucking fun to use as well because they don't expect it and then they like get mad because it works so good. But you know, people like to route here from showers, push up here, They get stunned. They can't really break it, you know? Like, good luck. And then you stand here and swing off it. Very nice. For short, if I place one trip there, I usually place the other one here. So that when they push up, if they jump down, they're gonna get stunned, right? Alternatively, if you also want to play like a little bit aggressive, you can place a trip here. And then this will stun them like right before they push out, which is really good. Or you can also place, this is why I'm saying like Bind has a lot of stuff to do. You can place a ceiling chip on the TP here so that they're pushing out here. They get stunned. If you don't like a ceiling chip, if you're weird, you can also place another chip here, for example. That is basically like very hard to see, and people pushing lamps will get stunned, and then you can have your friend peeking out here saying hello, how you doing? You can also place an unbreakable chip here as well, so that people pushing out will get stunned from the unbreakable chip here. Finally, alternatively, you can place a ceiling chip on the little lamp here if you get it perfectly, like this, so that when people push into lamps, they'll get stunned, and then you can easily just peek off it here. So it's very nice. As for the wall, honestly, if they have like a really rush heavy comp, I usually place it here so they can get the default. Like this. If you don't like that, you can also simply just place it showers at the start of the round so that it blocks off all the showers. But then I would recommend not to have a trip here and instead like place one here and then one, for example, here to work. Something like that. Just to spice it up a little bit. For gravnet, it's the same thing. If they push out and you like throw it right here, they're gonna get stunned in a very like awkward position, right? And then you can just peek off it. Very, very nice. Moving over to B-site. Here again, you have like a lot of cheeky stuff to do. But I would say the main setup I use, if they're like playing very slow, is you want to like kind of be aggressive if they're playing slow, right? So what I like to do is I usually place a chip here or here. It just depends on how you're feeling. And then when they push in, they're going to get stunned from this one, or they're going to get stunned from this one. And then you can just swing off it and get a kill very easily. If you don't want to do that, you can also just place a chip hookah here. And then you can place a trip on the little cubby like door thing and simply just like peek off this one, for example, if you want to do that, or peek off the hookah one, because when they drop they're gonna make noise, right? However, I will say one thing. This trip here is very, very predictable. Every single like Deadlock player uses it, right? So be a little bit careful when you use it, because they might shock dart it or nade it or something. So that means you can... Oh, that was a voice crack. Anyways, you can also just place it here instead if you want to, which works better, and then they'll have a harder time breaking it pretty much. If the enemies are playing slow and you want to be like playing like a little bit like duelist-esque, you can also place a trip here right when the barrier like drops and then swing off it, which is really nice. But all in all, the setup like I use the most is just placing a trip here and placing a trip here and then swinging off it. Very simple. However, I like to spice it up sometimes with having this trip over here, and then you can also stand on top of the tube thing here and peek off it. For the wall, usually I just place it long if they don't break it instantly. Like, just place it here. The nice space, the nice vision. Pretty good. I like it. If they break that instantly, what you can do instead is just place it hookah. And this is a really good wall because they will have to like walk up all the way here and then they can break it, which means that it's going to be reinforced by the time they like get there, right? So yeah, that's basically it for Bind. Really, really, really strong Deadlock map. Probably my favorite map to play around because you can do a lot of cheeky stuff like the unbreakable trips. So yeah, let's move over to the next map. All right, moving over to Fracture. If we start on A-site, the main setup I usually do is this. I place one trip here. So when they start pushing up, they're going to get stunned, right? And then for the other one, I just like to place it here below drop, because then you probably know jumping down makes a noise go bing, and then stun. You peek off stun, right? Yeah. Alternatively, if you want to play a little bit more aggressive, you can place a trip behind this crate here, which is kind of like really, really hard to break for the team because they have to like shoot at like a certain angle to break it, right? And then you can stand off main here and peek off it. Just remember that you're gonna probably have to fight a lot of people if you don't have a smoke or something, so just be careful for that. Alternatively, you can also place one at the stair here, and then you could be like a little rat standing behind here and then peek off the sun, which could work, but I like using the other ones more. As for the wall, you really have two options, technically three depending on where you play, but basically if they always flash push here and they never go sand, then I would just recommend placing it like this, so they'll have to walk and break it. If they push sand, however, you can also place it a little bit more like this, so they can't push out the sands, making you only able to focus on two angles, right? Lastly, if they push satellite a lot, you can also just wall it like this And yeah, that will stop them from pushing into here, right? So it just depends on how their enemy's playing. That's why I always say like adapt your setup, because you never know like how they're gonna play, right? But yeah, using the wall is very simple. And obviously you can wall boost if you want to do that. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's nice to get like a cheeky off angle kill, but I would much rather just use it for the like slowing down their push. Moving over to B-site. On B-site, my main setup usually is you place one sensor on like the stairs here, like this. So when they push out, they get stunned from this, and then you can swing off it. And then the second one really depends on if they like to push arcade fast or if they usually only go through main here. But basically, what I would do is you can be like a really, really big rat, and you can place one sensor on this box here, stand heaven, and then swing off it, right? If they want to peek this. Alternatively, you can also place one sensor here and be even more ratty. But it just depends on how they route. Alternatively, if they push arcade and stuff, you can place a sensor here and then stand behind the box and swing off them being stunned, right? It just depends where they like to push fast, like where they want to route. For the wall, honestly, a lot of the times when I've been playing Deadlock, I've just been placing the wall to block off their path to arcade here. So I don't have to worry about that. If you want to block off the under like pass here tunnel, you can also just place it like this. That works as well. It just depends on where they're pushing. If they push A main fast, very simple. Place a wall here. And yeah. One extra thing to note. Here's a little tip for attack. If you play attack, if you want to use your like sensors as like kind of like an initiating tool, like a stun, like reach, you can go here and then you can place a sensor on top of this pipe here. And then this will stun anyone pushing from canteen here, which is really nice. Same way, if you want to stun a CT, come over here. Place your like sensor at this pipe here, and then when they start pushing out, they get stunned from here, and then you can swing off it, which is really nice. All right, moving over to Haven. I'm gonna start on C this time because like I can, and also fuck the alphabet. But yeah, on C, my normal setup is usually if you have a friend playing garage, I like to place a trip for him behind this like crate here so he can swing off it if he wants to. And then my second trip, I usually place here because 95% of the time they have a jet, right? And the jet likes to go and then dash in here, and then you can simply peek off them being stunned, for example, and then have a nice time. If you don't want to play this setup, you can also place a ceiling trip here so that when they push at garage, or if they route this way, they get stunned, right? And then for your second trip, I usually just again place it here. But if you don't want to have it here, you can also place it angled like this, so that when they push up towards you, if you play backside or something, you can swing off it and they will be stunned, and then GG. Yeah. As for the wall, here's the tricky part about this. So for Haven, usually if you are defending and the enemies are attacking a different side, like let's say they're going towards A, right? Instead of walling shit, usually like 95% of the time, I just like to push up here, push up C long, take all this space, because it's really easy to just grab a lot of space, and then you have a shit ton of info because they're on A, and you have all this info, meaning that if you hear them start rotating, you will hear it very early, so your team will be able to rotate early as well, right? Stuff like that. However, if they are rushing though, I usually place my wall garage, because 95% of the time my teammates, they walk back because they're scared, right? And I don't want to get pushed from two sides, you know. I like only getting pushed from one side. Okay, that sounds very sus, but I like only getting pushed from one place, you know, which is gonna be C long, right? Alternatively, if you have a cool guy holding your garage, you can place your wall like this here, because usually your teammate will smoke here, right? Which means that they have to walk up here and then, you know, shoot the thing, you know. And if Jet has to dash, she'll just get stuck. If we fly over to B-site, I don't really like playing B-site. I like placing like one piece of util here for my team or something like that. So what I usually do is I just place like a trip here. So if they push up to B-site, like a stun. Alternatively, you can either place one on this box here, or also this box here. It just depends on if your teammate says something and wants it on a different place, right? The main thing for B-site, I would say, is if you hear the enemies pushing from a different place, like let's say they're going A, right? I usually always try to wall this, just so you don't have like a killjoy or something lurking up here and getting a free lurk through this, and then your teammates will be very pissed because you picked Deadlock and you can't hold flank and blah 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 blah. You reported it. Yeah. So yeah, just make sure to wall B side unless you have like a Cypher or killjoy or something as well. For A side, my main setup here is placing one sonic sensor on the wall like this, so that if Jet dashes in, she'll get stunned here, then you can play off the backside. For the other trip, I usually place it here on this box or on short here. so that it gets stunned. Alternatively, if you want, you can also place it on like the edge of this box like this, and then again swing off it here. It just depends on what you want to do. For the wall, I either place a sewer that will look like this, so that they would have to walk up all the way here to break it, you know. And then if I'm playing towards, or if I want to wall it A long, I just honestly either place it here where I'm standing now. As you see, they can't crouch to this either, so that's fine. Or if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can place it farther towards A long here. Another sensor that is really good if you also want to play like a little bit aggressive. Right after this round starts, you place a trip here on the box. And then you can swing off it and get a free kill and then go back. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do on Haven. All right, moving over to Lotus. If we start on A-site, you've probably seen this setup before if you've been in the streams. But if you haven't, please stop by. That would be very cool of you. And if you have any questions of Deadlock, like anything at all, ask me when I'm streaming. I'm always happy to answer questions. But yeah, sorry. For A-site, I usually place one sensor on the wall here. And then my other sensor, I usually place here. So when they try to like enter towards here, they're going to get stunned by this. And then also, if they open the door and start pushing, they're going to get stunned from this, right? And then you can also gravnet this if you want to and get like a lot of free kills. I'm going to pull up a clip now so you can see what it looks like. But yeah, that's my normal like go-to setup. Alternatively as well, you can also place a trip behind this like stone thing here and then peek off it, which also works. It just depends on how you want to play. As for the wall, usually our team smokes here, right? And then you can just place a wall like this so that both the entrance to stairs is blocked off and the entrance to side is blocked off. If you don't want to do that, you can also place it a little bit more defensively like this here, meaning that they would have to walk up all the way here and then like break the trip or break the wall here, right? Which is going to take a lot of time. But yeah, that's usually how I play it. If they have like a really rush heavy team where like, you know, you can't really stop them from either like tree or from main here, I would say just place a trip on each side of this and then just play backside and then you can swing off this like a rat. It just depends on how they're playing, if they're fast pushing or not. Moving over to B-site, again, I don't really like playing B-sites on 3 bomb site maps because it's just kind of boring for me because 99% of the time they either go A or C depending on how they're playing. So yeah, but my main setup on B would be to place a trip here so that when they push out they get stunned from this. And then alternatively, you can also place a chip on this like little wall thing here, and you can like play off both of these. It just depends, but I wouldn't really recommend playing B-site. I don't think it's that good in my opinion for Deadlock. However, one thing I will say though, again, with like same with like as I said on Haven, if you're rotating from somewhere, try to wall B so that the Killjoy or the Cypher or whoever's gonna lurk, maybe the Reyna, I don't fucking know, can't lurk into here and just get a free space, right? That's very important. As for C-site, this is where like you can do the most cheeky stuff with Deadlock. My main setup for C-site is to place one ceiling chip on this like ledge here, so when they push up here they get stunned from this thing and then bada bing bada boom, you get a free kill. And then for my second trip, I like to place it here on like this edge thing here on the wall so that if they start pushing you, you can peek off them being stunned and then get a free kill or two, which is really nice. Alternatively, if you don't want to use the ceiling trip, you can also place a sensor on the box here, but this usually gets broken more than this one. If they have a jet or like a race or something who always dashes somewhere on side, like let's say for example they like to dash here, you can place a trip here. It just depends on how they're playing, right? You gotta adapt your setups. If you're playing retake and they have like a shit, like if they have a breach ult or something, I usually recommend placing a trip here so that you can play very safe and then peek off this, and also place a trip on the little waterfall here so you can peek off that, just so you don't like lose all of the space, right? Because they'll be stunned and then you can peek off it. As for the wall, very simple. You place it right here like this so that they will have to walk in if they want to destroy this. If not, they'll have to destroy all this, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it for Lotus. Let's move over to the next map. All right, moving over to the Portuguese map. Vamos caralho. If I want to play A-side, I usually place one trip angled like this so that when they start pushing out, they're gonna get hit from this, right? As for the other trip, honestly, I usually like to place it here next to the box and then pair it up with a wall like this so that when they finish breaking this wall, they're gonna push up and get stunned by this, and then you can just chill behind the wall here and then just peek off it. Very easy kill. Alternatively, if you want to use both sensors on A side, like the main side, I usually recommend placing a sensor here and then also one either here if you want to play like secret and peek off this one or this one, or if you don't want to play secret, you can also place it like this on this wall and then peek off it from backside. It just depends, but in all honesty, I just like having a trip here and then having the other one behind this box here. It's really easy to get a lot of free kills with it. And honestly, for Deadlock on this map, I would say it's usually better to play towards one of the mid-like choke points because it's really easy to stop people through like this tight choke point here and also this choke point here. So if you have the option to, just tell your team you're gonna play towards mid, like mid doors, or either through art is what I would say. And then for if you want to protect mid doors, I usually like to place a wall like this, then have the other sensor angled towards here so that you can swing off it here, or you can also stand behind here and swing off it. It just depends. For art, again, as I showed you, just do the setup I did here with this chip and then the wall. Very nice. For B-site, my main setup is usually I wall long early in the round to hopefully get it to reinforce itself, because as you can see, this thing here is massive, right? You know what else is massive? Low tape, sorry. But yeah, this thing here will block off basically all of B long, right? Alternatively, if you don't want to wall it here, you can also wall it B link if they push B link a lot. That also works. For the sensors, I usually place one behind screens and then I place another one here so that if they want to push you backside, you can swing off them being stunned. Same thing with this one. If you want to play backside here, you can swing off them being stunned, right? Because this is usually always smoked. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can also place a trip close to default here or generator, and then you can also place another chip behind this box, and then you can peek off either like peek off here or peek off here. Very nice. But yeah, that's honestly pretty much it for Pearl. I can't think of anything else that's like really cool to do. But yeah, honestly, from my experience, playing mid with Deadlock is the best thing you can do. Just let your teammates handle the main sites, then you just play towards mid doors, or you place towards art. Now for the final map, Split. This is also a really strong Deadlock map that is almost on par with mine, I would say, but not quite because of lurks and stuff. But yeah, that's besides the point. For A site, what I normally do is I place a sensor on this wall, and then I also place a sensor on this wall here, which means that you can just stand backside here, and then if they push towards you towards backside, they'll get stunned from this, and then you can swing off it. And then if they push towards elbow, again, you can swing off it and get a free kill. Alternatively, you can also place a sensor on this, I don't know what this is, like flower thingamajiggy. And then this will stun people right here, which is pretty cool. As for the wall, I usually just place it early like this, because 95% of the times, if they don't go A, they have a cypher, right, who likes to lurk and likes to blah, 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 blah. So he has to wait for this wall to be destroyed before he can lurk through, right? If you're playing towards ramps and heaven and stuff, a normal trip I usually do is I place it on this wall so that if Raze pushes up, she'll get stunned from here. And then you can just swing off and hopefully get a kill, and then you can back away. So yeah, you can also place a ceiling trip on this thing, like this doorway. I don't know. When they push up, and get a free kill as well. It just depends on how they're playing. Same with, you can also place a scene trip on top of this thing, and that will also work. But honestly, just use this one and use this one. That's my main tip. Sometimes as Deadlock, your teammates tell you to wall mid. Usually I just listen to them because I'm a bitch. No, it's because people get toxic fast, you know. So just listen to them. If you decide to place a wall mid though, try to place a sensor behind this box so that when they start to push up mid, you can swing off it and get a free kill. For B-site, my main setup here is usually a ceiling chip like this, and then you place a trip here. So when they push up, they'll first get stunned from this one, and then again they get stunned here, which is really nice. If you don't want to do this, alternatively, what you can do is place it on the propane tank. And then if your teammates tell you, hey, we need some help heaven, just place a trip on this wall, and then people who push up heaven will be stunned, and then you can just play backside B here if you want to, and then swing off this trip here. For the wall, I usually just place it B main unless my team tells me to place a mid. So yeah, other than that, you can also place a trip towards the wall if they push out like that. Like if they route like this, that could work. It just depends on how they're playing again, you know. And that is why I keep saying adapt your setups to your how your enemies are playing, blah 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 blah. Really important. You can also place a ceiling chip here if you want to. Oh, that was misclick. like this. It just depends. You need to freestyle a little bit because no two enemies are the same, right? This is only like a basic suggestion. So yeah, I think that's everything, honestly. Split is really easy in my opinion with Deadlock and stuff. So yeah, that's basically the setup guide. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out my Twitch, please. I'm desperate. But yeah, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.